Okay, so I wanted to do a short video today talking about the prong collars. I've had a lot of clients lately who are obviously struggling with their walk, but we can't get them in for a program for quite a while, and obviously struggling with their walk for the next 2, 3, 4 months isn't great. So a lot of them want to try the prong collar in the meantime, and I always tell them that's an absolutely fine thing to do. But there are some things you should know. You shouldn't just buy a collar, slap it on, and go for the gold. You should know a little bit first. So I'm going to make one video here just telling you a little bit about the prong collar and fitting it to your dog. And then I'll make another one to follow that shows you how to get started introducing your dog to it and how to start working with them on the prong collar. And it's not rocket science, but it is leash handling. So if you just buy a prong collar and you slap it on your dog, you might not get the results that you want. So I'll try not to make this painfully long, but my favorite prong collar is the Herm Sprenger. It's probably the most popular prong collar among dog trainers. There are reasons for that, but I'm not going to go into detail. But you know, I like the tips on them. They're nice and smooth. They're not sharp at all, and they have a good release, and they're not real chunky and clunky. So you can get really big ones, but I never use anything bigger than the 3mm. They do come bigger than that. You don't need one bigger than that. I don't care what dog you have, unless you have a gorilla, you don't need one bigger than a 3mm. So the 3mm is that one, and the 2.25mm is the smaller one, and I actually use this on about 3/4 of the dogs that I get in. Boo Boo here is kind of in between, but even he could use probably the 2.25. You know, and I've got Odin here right now, big Rottweiler, and he'll be on a 3.0, but you don't need anything bigger than that. So I prefer the small ones if I can get away with it. Okay, so I'm going to get right into it. Most of them look like this, and they act like a martingale. So when you pull that chain up, it will constrict around your hand, and you'll get pressure all the way around the dog's neck. Instead of getting just pressure on the front of the trachea like you would with a flat collar, which is one of the great, ow, got a cat in my way here, which is one of the great advantages to using the prong, but also your dog can feel everything you're saying through the leash with these. So you can use pressure and release to get what you want from your dog. It's great for helping them settle. It's great for telling them what way you want them to go. So pressure on tells them you want something, pressure off tells them they gave it to you, right? So it's really important to always go back to being relaxed when you use a prong collar. So you have this swivel ring here for your leash. This ring on the bottom, you can actually attach it to another collar with a carabiner clip if you want to. And that's just, you know, if this should come apart when you're walking, your dog won't be loose if you do that. So a lot of people choose to do that. So there's no, you might notice there's no clip on here to release it, so you just take the prongs apart, and that's the part a lot of people struggle with. So to do that, what you would do is, you can choose any of these too, by the way, doesn't matter which one, but use one finger to push the prongs up from the bottom, so they kind of poke up like that, and then take your other hand and pinch those little knees right there, and just wiggle, and pull it out. So I make it look easy, but a lot of people say the first few times you do it, it's actually kind of tough. So it takes a little practice. And then when you go to put it back together, you pinch those little feet. See that? You got to pinch them. And put them in one at a time. And it's pretty easy on the 2.25s, but when you have a 3mm, it's a little thicker. You know, the prongs are a little bit heavier. So again, to get that apart, just push it up through with one hand, then use your other hand to pinch those little knees and wiggle it out. Okay? And then to put it back in, squeeze those little feet together and put them in one at a time. It's like that. And that's it. Now they do make a quick release if you'd prefer. I don't really like these as much, but I have been using them with 3mm because I have a shoulder injury, and it just is easier for me most of the time to do it this way. So with the quick release, you'll see you've got a little alligator clip on here. Collar works the same exact way, you just put it on your dog differently. So this chain goes right through the loop, and then you come up with your alligator clip and you clip it to the chain. And that's it. And that's how that works. So, quick release, just like that. Take the chain, put it through the loop, alligator clip comes up, and you clip. And that's it. Okay, but the regular 3mm works the same way this one does, where you just push the prong up through, squeeze and wiggle. Okay, the feet go back in one at a time. But see, that's a little bit harder because it's thicker. Okay, now we'll look at how to fit it to your dog. Okay, so Boo Boo's gonna be our guinea pig here. But if I was going to fit this prong collar to Boo Boo, you don't really buy them in different sizes other than the gauge. So you just pick up, you know, a 2.25 or a 3mm if you have a big dog. Push your prongs up and take it apart. It should go very high on the neck. It should be the highest collar up. So that's going to give you the most control over your dog. And then you can see this one's a little bit too big because we want it to be nice and snug. So what I'm going to do is just take out one of these prongs all together and set it aside. And sometimes they won't fit perfectly if your dog's kind of in between, and that's okay. This is still too big. I'm going to take out another prong. So it shouldn't be a necklace, guys. Okay. This is better. Okay. And so it sits right on his neck, just like that. And you can see it's not bothering him at all. It just sits there. It doesn't do anything, but it should be nice and snug. You shouldn't be able to fit, you know, a fist underneath these prongs. So if it's a tad snug or a tad loose, no big deal. But it shouldn't be a necklace. And it shouldn't be, you know, really poking into them while it's just sitting there. So we don't want it to be engaged all the time, otherwise it won't be very effective. You need to be able to engage it by pulling on the leash swivel here. So very important that you can engage it and disengage it, and that's how you're going to talk to your dog. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can.